You know, and one of the things that happens with immigrants who voluntarily migrate to America, and see most people in America are either voluntary immigrants or the descendants of voluntary immigrants. African Americans are not. That's why we always have a different perspective, as encapsulated by Malcolm's statement. You know, we did not come here in the Mayflower, and we did not land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. That's a very, you know, incisive statement as to the difference between being a voluntary immigrant and an involuntary immigrant. This is, you know, very, very important. So when we are, and one of the things that voluntary immigrants do is they go for the hype. They, you know, they look at the blueprint of America, the description of it, and the description of the American dream, but as Bruce Lee once said, they don't look at the fine print. You know, Bruce Lee once said, he said it online, you can find, look around, you can find, he said, man, when you look at the American dream in writing, he said, it looks tremendous. He said, but then you got to look at the fine print at the bottom of the page. Yeah, this is the land of the free, home of the brave. All men are created, for instance, in the Declaration of Independence, when it starts, all men are created equal. But then you have to look at the fine print. The fine print says, yeah, but while we're writing this, black people are not considered to be human beings and therefore not men, so this don't have nothing to do with them. You understand? So, and this happens even since the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Civil Rights Act of 1965, Voting Rights Act of 1965, all of which are constantly being fought now, you know, by the Tea Party and the Republican Party, all of this pushback occurring. But one of the sociological effects of the passage of those civil rights laws was the reformation of immigration laws, which also happened late in 1965. And when the immigration laws were reformed, the doors were open, and then Muslims started coming from all over the world. You couldn't get in before then, except in small numbers. But after 1965, the greatest migration of Muslims from other parts of the world to a country like America in history has been taking place. But you have so many Muslims, they come here, but they come here with the text of the American dream, but without looking at the fine print. And so then when it turns out, like when 9/11 happened, and the, as Dr. Sherman Jackson says, you know, the voluntary white status of a lot of immigrants was revoked. Yeah, you know, oh, you're Arab? Oh, no, revoked. Boom. Oh, you're from where? Pakistan? Oh, no. Boom. But revoked. And then Muslim people of color, of immigrant origin, they start treating them as if they're black people, black Americans, you know? And then when war broke out in other parts of the world and American soldiers go abroad, they start using, excuse my language, but this is a language, they start referring to Arabs as towel head wearing niggers, you know, and this type of, you know, see, showing this. So if you, so part of our challenge is to be able to see America as it is, with its strengths and weaknesses, and to understand that there has always been a struggle for freedom in America, and that struggle is not over, that people in power in America have always been trying to control the masses. So now when we find out about surveillance, when we find out about good cop, bad cop, you know, that's, you know, and this happened in New York City. I'm in New York City. So in New York City, you know, the Muslim community, particularly the immigrant Muslim community, for a long time was doing all of this engagement with the NYPD. But it was engagement without a knowledge of good cop, bad cop. So then when it turned out that the NYPD is spying on everybody, they come to set up a soccer league for the Muslims and then they're compiling dossiers on everybody. So a lot of the brothers were shocked, but the African American and Latino Muslims, we were not shocked. We said to them, hey, as one brother said to me, you know, an African immigrant brother, okay? He says to me, well, I'm good friends with the police commissioner, he says. And every time I'm with him, I speak to him about the importance of respecting the rights of Muslims. So I said to him, brother, you ever heard of COINTELPRO? No, he says. I said, you ever heard of BOSS, the Bureau of Special Services, which was the intelligence division of the NYPD, you know, during the 60s and 70s? You ever heard of that? No, he says. So I said to him, you're not qualified to speak on behalf of of safeguarding the rights of Muslims because you don't even know what you're in the middle of. So this is very important. We have to be referencing recent history, much less beyond recent, and then cross-linking it with the events of what's going on now. We're no longer in the days of imperialism and colonialism. We're in a whole nother thing now, but it still amounts to a global control for power, and the players are basically the same now as they were in the 60s, were in the 50s, and were back before the creation of the United Nations.